What's up, guys, and welcome back to Tech Plant. This is going to be the best gift guide for all plant lovers. This is going to be good for both the beginner and the expert, and I promise none of these are going to be weird niche products where I've got some weird 10% off code to give you. These are just solid picks that will always be loved by anyone who receives these. We're going to start off our gift guide with sphagnum moss. This stuff is practically gold. During the pandemic, this stuff shot up like 3 times the price. I think this did better than like silver and gold in the stock market, honestly. So not only is it a great investment, but it's an amazing product for anyone who likes houseplants. Even if they're a very beginner, they might not know what this is used for yet, but once they find out about propagation, they're going to be wanting this like crazy. And any expert grower who already is propagating needs this in an infinite supply. So you literally cannot go wrong with sphagnum moss. Next up is more of a stocking stuffer or just kind of an add-on, and that is a timer. These things are just always necessary, especially for the indoor grower. I guess maybe this wouldn't be applicable to someone who only window grows, but I can almost guarantee as their plant collection gets bigger, and it will, they're going to need timers for the grow lights that they end up purchasing. I know I have probably like 6 or 7 running in this room alone, and I just never seem to have enough. As I grow the collection, I always need more timers. So this is a gift that I think anyone, whether a beginner or an expert, is going to want and need. This next item is another sort of stocking stuffer. This is a temperature and humidity sensor. You can get these pretty cheap, and you can usually get 3 packs or 2 packs. Honestly, I would definitely go with a 2 or 3 pack. I know I have multiples of these around the plant room. It's just nice to use, and you find yourself needing them all over the house, even outside of the whole plant hobby. I know I had one of these in the refrigerator because it tells me min-max, and I could tell if like the power went out. There's just a million reasons to have these in the house, and especially in a grow room. I know that certain sides of the grow room can even fluctuate in temperature and humidity, and a lot of people have different little grow tents or bins. Just, they're always necessary, and you can almost never have enough. Just a quick disclaimer, any of these products I mentioned, usually you can get pretty much any brand. I'm not really shilling any specific brand. I think the first one, the sphagnum moss one, I would stick with Super Moss. I haven't used a tremendous amount of different brands. However, I have used other ones that I can get like more in my local stores, and they're really dirty and full of sticks. Now there is like the premium one, which is like a New Zealand style moss, but again, I think it's a little expensive for just propagations. I think if they're doing some sort of like really pretty orchid arrangement or something, then maybe that's a little better looking. But the Super Moss brand actually does seem to do pretty good with cleanliness versus like how much you pay for it. They've never sent me anything for free. I don't have any discount codes or anything. I just have been using it for years, and it seems to be a pretty good product. Next up, to kind of go along with that whole sphagnum moss rant, is going to be plastic bins. Even the newbies who don't realize they need this, they're gonna need it. I would say like a little 4-pack of something like this is pretty good. You can get the more flat style ones, but I've found over time that having at least about a 6-inch bin gives your plants room to start growing upwards and get some leaves up before they're like pressed up against the roof. So definitely nothing super flat. I would almost say a little taller than this would be actually better. But again, any brand will work. The most important thing though is it's got a clear top. I honestly think you can get away with a non-clear side. I don't see that being as important, but clear top definitely, so the light can get in. Because if they're going to be using propagation bins, they're probably going to be using artificial light as well. But again, these are a go-to. I have bins literally everywhere. I think you might be able to see some off camera here. I've got 6 up there. I've got 4 or 5 over here. They're just everywhere, and I can never have enough. I just picked these up. So these are always a great and fantastic gift. I'm going to use these up pretty soon, and I'm going to need more. So again, beginners and experts alike will always appreciate some clear plastic bins. Next up is more of like an expendable. These would be like neem oil or like a systemic houseplant granule. Even like mosquito bits wouldn't be a bad gift. You can kind of always check and see what they all always have on hand, but if they're going to be long-term plant collectors, they're going to need more of this. Basically, any expendable is a great gift idea because it's something that no one likes to buy. I don't like to go buy neem oil. I hate spending like 10-15 bucks on this. Again, it's not expensive, but just over time, it just sucks to spend money on it. So if anyone ever gifted me either one of these, I would always be happy with it. It would just go in my stock, and eventually I would use it because you're always going to have plant pests. I guess not always. I've been working on getting rid of mine, but they always come and go. That's a guarantee as long as you have a big collection. Sure, if you got 2 plants, maybe not, but most beginners are going to become experts eventually, and their grow room or even their plant collection will grow, and I can promise you pests are going to be a problem for them. So this is always great, and even some of these are kind of preventative, so it's not a bad gift at all. And again, very affordable. I think this might be like 10 bucks, and this might be 10 bucks for this size. It's not much. There are other brands out there, I guess, if you want to look into them. I'm not shilling these specifically. I haven't used a lot of different ones, and honestly, I don't even know if this is more of like a pseudo effect. I forget there's a word for it. You know, when they give medication to people and then the other half, placebo. Could be a placebo effect, I don't know. But neem oil does seem to work for me. It stinks a little bit. I kind of like the smell, but for whatever reason, it does pretty well controlling pretty much everything, honestly. Mealybugs might be the only exception, but they're a real special demon from... I don't want to swear in my videos, but anyways. Now that we talked about spray, another great gift idea is going to be an actual sprayer. So you might be able to check with them and kind of see. Again, this isn't always totally applicable depending on what their grow size is, but again, you can get smaller versions. I have a massive version because I must have 300 something plants, but you can get a much smaller version. But a pump sprayer is honestly really awesome for watering. Anyone that you know that is using watering cans is going to love you once you put them onto this, if they're not already onto this. And I was just going to say, even if they already have one sprayer, it is nice to have multiple sprayers. Now that I have a hose, I just have a straight up hose in my grow room, so I don't use this as much for watering. However, I do use this for fertilizer and applying the neem oil or like any other like anti-bug spray, pesticide. So it might be nice if you already have one for watering. You can have one pre-mixed with some pesticide. It would just make life easier than constantly rinsing things out and doing things differently. Having dedicated sprayers would be good, so I don't think you're gonna really upset anyone, or it would feel like an unneeded gift if they already have one sprayer. I'm sure two would be awesome as well. At least that from my perspective it is. But again, that might be a little more situational. Definitely if they don't have one at all, it is a must buy. They will love you for it because the sprayer changes your life when it comes to watering. It's like pump activated. Usually they have a decent capacity, and it's just much better than running back and forth with a watering can. It really makes a difference. All right, next up is going to be grow lights. Now this is again another slightly situational one, but again, I probably said again 1,000 times in this video, and now I'm adding ums in here because I could need to take a public speaking lesson. But anyways, grow lights, they might not need it at first, but I've never seen a plant person who slows down and only collects a few plants and never really gets crazy. Well, maybe there's some out there, but usually it gets worse and worse and worse, and soon they got more plants than they can possibly fit in a window, and they end up turning into grow lights. Now, I wouldn't recommend some of the more high-powered ones for like the devil's lettuce or like vegetables, but like any of these bar style lights are usually pretty good for most people if they're growing it on shelves. So you're gonna have to kind of take a look at what they got going on. Otherwise, there is more of like a bulb style grow light, and these can fit in like those little lamps or pretty much anything that can handle. I think, what are these? I want to say these are about 20 watts, 36 watts. So if it's a lighting fixture that can handle 36 watts, which is not a lot, you can plug these bad boys in there. It could even be like one of those little hanging things. There's a million places you can put this, and this is probably more suitable for most people's collections. However, if they are growing on shelves, you can never have enough grow lights. I'm almost always running out and buying more. I bet you I bought 6 sets. Usually these come in a set of like 6 lights. I'm using like, I don't know, maybe 30 of these at this point, so it's like I always need more. Same with the bulbs, although I don't use bulbs much because I'm basically all shelf growing. But if they have stuff in their like upper house area and not on shelves, these are awesome supplemental light. And especially, even if they are just window growers, as soon as they start to see what happens in the winter time, if they're like a more northern state, these bulbs come in handy to keep your plant collection really going, and it really helps out a lot. So I think a grow light is always a welcomed gift. Sometimes it can be a little more pricey though. I think these packs are like anywhere from like $75 to $100. And these are, I'm not sure what these are. I'll put some links in the description obviously, but shop around, look at what you want. Definitely don't get super low wattage grow lights, because you don't want them to have to upgrade shortly after. More watts are better because you can always move the light slightly further away, but you can only move a light so close before it's just like on top of the plant. So definitely look for slightly higher wattage. Try to look for things above at least 15 watts in my opinion. That makes it a little more versatile and a little more useful. Ooh. Oh, this is heavy. Alright, this last one is pretty big. This one is probably one of the more comical gifts in my opinion. So you could get a giant bag of perlite or vermiculite or leca. This chair I'm sitting on is actually just a plastic pot. It's about to explode with this extra weight. So if I drop off frame, that's why. But anyways, these are a pretty funny gift because they're massive. I mean, you can get smaller bags, but honestly, I think perlite, you can get a bag like this. I think this is 4 cubic yards maybe. I don't know if it says on it. Yeah, 4 cubic feet. 4 cubic yards would be huge. 4 cubic feet. The vermiculite's a little more expensive. I want to say I spent like 35 bucks on this bag, but perlite, you can get a giant bag for like 20 bucks, and I think it's a hilarious gift because not only does it seem silly to get a giant bag of perlite, but it's just a huge gift. Like, you can see how big this is. This is like half empty too, so it's obviously way bigger, and so it could be a pretty funny under the tree sort of gift. And even the newbies who don't realize it, they might get this giant bag of perlite and be like, what the heck is this? But honestly, if you didn't do the sphagnum moss route, you could go full perlite for propagation. once they get a little more advanced in their house planting experience, they're going to start mixing their own mediums. And perlite is almost in every single mix, especially for houseplants. I can't think of a single person who doesn't recommend putting perlite in there because it does great for making it so you can't really overwater stuff, and it really helps with drainage. Vermiculite's a little different, but honestly, as they advance, they might want some vermiculite as well. Leca, even peat moss, there's a million different things like this that you can get. They're all expendable, so you can almost never have enough, honestly. As long as they're not in like a 200 square foot apartment where they obviously don't have room for something so ridiculous like this, you have to obviously use your best judgment. But if they got any space, these big bags are the best investment because you get a lot more for your money. And again, even if they're a beginner, they're going to keep adding plants. I very rarely see people stop adding plants. It always gets out of hand. So they're going to need soil amendments. And it's a lot of fun to mix your own soil. And even vermiculite can be used in propagation bins. So if you get them like a bin, some vermiculite, some perlite, some sphagnum moss, you got them pretty set for a lot of cool stuff. So pretty much any consumable is a good gift idea in my opinion. I hate personally buying this stuff. All my sphagnum moss I've been using has been from me asking for it for Christmas actually. So my mom and my aunt, they both usually get me sphagnum moss and other amendments because I don't personally like spending money on it. It just feels, I don't know, I just don't like doing it. So it's always nice to get it as a gift because I don't even know what I need anymore for Christmas. There's not really, I'm old, you know, I'm old. I'm like in my 30s, so it's like I don't need like toys anymore. So these big bags, I love them. They're the best gift as far as I'm concerned. Another final recommendation is just cold hard cash. A nice crisp $1 bill. Just kidding, you should obviously do a lot more than that. But what I would recommend is maybe doing like a little fancy card or something and putting in cash and like make sure the intent in this card is like use all this money on a plant without any remorse, you know, or not remorse. Not guilt either. I guess you shouldn't feel guilty when you're buying plants. But some plants can be expensive and some people are really not comfortable leaving that $15 range for plants. I'm definitely beyond that because as a YouTuber, it's a kind of a business expense sort of thing, so I can spend a little bit more. But if it wasn't for that, usually I'd be trading for everything or trying to keep my expenses low because I don't like spending a ton of money on a plant that could die. So sometimes people won't treat themselves to a cool plant because it's just out of their price range. But if you give them a dedicated amount and you like tell them to treat this as like just spend it on whatever plant you want, it can be a nice freeing feeling. If you get like 50 bucks or something, I don't know, I mean 50 bucks might be a lot for some people. I don't know, 25 bucks and it's just, you know, you can just blow it on a plant without feeling anything. It's a nice feeling. I know I've gotten gift cards in the past. However, I don't know if I'd recommend gift cards unless they really love a certain nursery, because gift cards kind of tie you to a certain place, and I'm not a big fan of that because plants can be anywhere. Like the plant you love can be in some obscure website or on Etsy or somewhere where you may not be able to use that gift card. So I would shy away from gift cards unless that plant lover like really loves a certain nursery. And honestly, some of the plant stores are pretty expensive compared to what they might be able to get online. So cash is king in my opinion. Gift cards, if you really know they love a certain place and they want to support that place. So you could do gift cards too. But that's always an option. I know I've also gotten gift cards in the past for certain places, and it's been nice because I can just, like, it's a very wonderful feeling to go plant shopping knowing it's not coming directly out of like your paycheck or something, if that makes any sense. It's cool. I like it. Finally, if you're really looking for like an awesome presentation, so a lot of this stuff seems sort of silly, right? And some of it's even a little cheap. I don't know what your guys' budgets are. I mean, Christmas budgets can be anything from like 25 bucks for somebody, 10 bucks for somebody, all the way to like hundreds of dollars, right? I don't know what kind of household you guys come from. I know hundreds is a lot, but something kind of neat you can put together even in a lower budget rate, because again, with the sphagnum moss and the perlite and the vermiculite, the things I showed you earlier, you don't have to buy a 4 cubic foot bag. There's much smaller bags you can do. So I think what a really awesome gift idea would be is to get a bigger bin. So you probably can't see it, but there you can get a bin like this, you know, like a pretty large propagation bin, and you can put all kinds of stuff in there. Rehab plants. It's almost like a mini greenhouse. So what I always thought would be a really cool gift idea for someone who's really getting into plants or even pretty far into plants is getting them a nice big clear bin, because those are like 10-15 bucks, right? They're not super cheap. Getting a little bag of perlite, a little bag of sphagnum moss, maybe a little bag of vermiculite. You can put that all in there, maybe a timer, a little grow light. You can kind of, for anywhere from like $20 to $100, you can kind of create this like little kit, you know. I think it would be really special for someone who who hasn't really gotten into the propagation game yet, and they might be looking for that little extra oomph, you know, like if you can provide them with the materials, they might start hacking away at their plants. So I think it's a great gift idea. You can even get some grow lights that are pretty cheap that would sit on top of a bin. So a lot of times, again, above me, you can't really see it, and the camera's too far away to crane up, but I set grow lights directly on top of these taller bins, the bins that are like 24 inches deep, and it's just a mini greenhouse. You can grow all kinds of stuff in there. It's a great rehab propagation thing. So again, you can sort of piece together a bunch of little things and make a really cool, like, plant-focused gift for anyone who's really into houseplants. So hopefully this gift guide is pretty cool. Again, I don't really have any specific products to shill. I do have a list of Amazon products in my description, usually of stuff I've used. I know like the Barrina bar lights are pretty good. Sansi bulbs are pretty decent. I think there's like SG light bulbs. There's a lot of them out there. Again, just kind of pay attention to the wattage because that's a little more important in my opinion, because most of it is just like clones of each other. It's not like there's no amazing grow light brand out there. Even some of the more luxury brands you're going to see other YouTubers mention that they got their affiliate links for and everything. There's nothing special about them. They're just Chinese bulbs from China, just like all the rest of the grow lights. It's nothing amazing, or it doesn't really set itself apart enough in my opinion to like spend that crazy amount. Unless you're really rich, then do whatever you want. I mean, it's your money at the end of the day, so you can do whatever you want. But again, there's a lot of products out there, and you really don't have to get crazy with them for these plants. So hopefully this helps you kind of get an idea of what you could get someone who's really into houseplants. Again, almost everything on here works for someone who's a beginner and someone who's an expert. All the things I listed are things I would love now and I would have loved in the past. And maybe if you get them some of these gifts as a beginner and they're not quite sure, like when they get this clear bin and some like perlite and sphagnum moss, they might be like, you know, what the heck is this about? Just tell them all about propagation. If you're watching this video, you're probably familiar with other houseplant stuff, or I would just suggest YouTube, like how to propagate plants. You can either use my videos or anybody else's videos. There's a lot out there. But again, I know I'm kind of getting on a ramble here. I just think you can do a lot of really cool things for people, and they don't have to be some like niche product that they might not actually enjoy but kind of feel guilty into using, you know. So I hope that is a pretty good like explainer into the whole like how to please a plant person, I guess. I think they're all really good products, and they're all products people can keep needing more and more of. So you definitely have a very slim chance of them like not being happy with it, to be quite honest. I think it's a really good guide for pretty much anybody, and it has a lot of flexibility in what you get them. You're not stuck with like 5 actual products that you have to buy. Like again, the timers, there's a million brands out there, different kinds, digital, physical. It's kind of up to you. The humidity things, there's a bunch out there. Again, I think the only brand that I'm gonna like recommend, and again, I get zero payback for this, no one's paid me to say this, Super Moss is something I would definitely stick with. There is cheaper sphagnum moss out there, and in my opinion, it is not good. It is like really dirty, full of sticks, and like I don't know where it comes from, but it's just not worth the money, and it doesn't work well with propagation. So other than that, I think pretty much every other brand is very flexible. You can pick out whatever you think fits your budget and go from there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this gift guide, and it helps you guys get something special for that plant person that you really care about. And I guess, as always, guys, may your plants go strong and healthy. I'll see you next time. One thing we did not cover yet, and this I filmed after I already filmed my like outro and everything, was plants. So in my opinion, giving someone a plant is a very interesting gift. If you really know they love a certain plant, then go ahead and feel free to get that for them. But if you just like want to buy them plants, I would maybe abstain from that. The reason being is not that they would be ungrateful for it, but you know, most plant people are kind of eternally at capacity. You know, my plant room is like filled to the brim. There is literally no room. I have plants like outside of the grow room, on the floors. I kick them over. There's not much room. So when people give me plants, it's like I have to find room for it. I really love all plants, and so it's fine, but it's like, you know, I might have been eyeing up like a few other plants that I don't have room for, but I was like, I can figure it out. But then if you get a bunch of plants on top of that, it's not going to cause a problem, and I'm sure the person won't be ungrateful, but it's sometimes difficult to accommodate a plant that maybe you weren't even hyped for, and then you kind of feel guilty taking care of it. It's almost like getting someone pets or something. If you really know a certain plant they love, I would go ahead and get them that, but I definitely wouldn't suggest just like I wish I had it like here. Again, maybe they'll love it, so but I wouldn't be like, here, have this, here's this giant philodendron, like, Merry Christmas, or something, you know. It's like, they might not like this style plant, and then they're going to feel guilty and have to keep it alive, and this takes up a lot of space. So I definitely think about it. I guess maybe if it's a really small plant, you probably wouldn't really matter because it's small. But again, if someone gifted me a big plant and it wasn't something I'm thrilled about, or something I may have killed in the past and I'm like over it, you know, like I don't have any calathea in my collection. I just don't care about calathea. Maybe, you know what, maybe throw everything I've said out. Maybe if someone gifted me a calathea, I might take it as an opportunity to try again. Maybe just forget everything I said about no plant and try it. What's the worst? It's a free gift anyways, right? It's not like they paid for it. Maybe get them that plant that you don't know if they actually want, because it might, I guess it's all depends on their attitude. If they're grateful, they can find a way to love it, right? If someone gets me a plant I don't like, I'm going to find a way to love it. So maybe, I guess I don't know what to say about the whole plants as gifts, but cash is king, all right? Like George Bush said one time, just send your cash.